Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Benedict Construction. Whether it's a custom remodeling job, a custom build from the ground up, a rebuilt kitchen, bathroom, living room, turn to the folks who built our beautiful set on time and on budget. Let me repeat that. Construction company that came in on time, on budget. Benedict Construction, the folks to call. Give Dan a shout this week. And over at the Benedict Construction Big Board, we're at the Big Board. These are our big stats, and in a minute we'll ask the big question. Just some numbers for you to follow. Average field position after kickoffs last night. It wound up 25-25, even though Tennessee kept getting it kicked into the end zone. Virginia Tech had end zone, short, long, but they wound up at 25 as their average starting position as well. Point conversion inside the red zone. Tennessee had 5 trips inside the red zone. Technically, you can get 8 points out of that. So 31 points out of a possible 40. Virginia Tech 17 out of 24. That's not great for the defense. Scrimmage plays of 20-plus. Big change there for the Vols. 5 20-plus 20 yards or more plays last night. Only 2 for Virginia Tech. But here's the concern. Look at the offensive efficiency, yards per play. Virginia Tech, with only 2 20-yard plays, still had better efficiency, yards per play, than Tennessee, which tells you Tennessee was incredibly inconsistent. You had the big plays. You had a lot of small plays as well. Turnover margin, well, that's the difference in the game. 4 big turnovers for Virginia Tech. You didn't beat yourself, so congratulations to the Vols. Teams that make the fewest mistakes will win. They made the fewest mistakes, and they won the game. But in terms of counting on that for the rest of the SEC, I don't know that everybody else is going to be so giving as Virginia Tech. All right. I'll start with David on this one. We talked about the O-line earlier. We were debating what could be the problem, so I'll just put it to you. What is the problem? What's the issue? Simple solution.
Yeah, if I knew all the answers, I'd take this mic off and go get paid over at UT. Unfortunately, I don't.
But you get so many of the guys from last year, especially on the interior. What do you see? Is it technique? Is it strength? What's the issue?
I think it's a multitude of things. I think the biggest thing that jumps off the page to me is it's not always technique. So why are guys getting pushed backwards? Well, you're just not strong enough. How do you fix that? Well, you get in the squat rack. You work out more. Obviously something has happened. We talked about earlier in the show about the changes in the strength coaches, and we normally talk about Olympic lifting and explosiveness, and that's what we did. I had the same strength coach the entire time I was at UT. I think we did a pretty good job, but we did Olympic lift. So who knows in that regard? But it just looks like they need to get stronger. But there are situations where they are catching. They're not setting and punching in pass pro. When you're timid, you're gonna get beat. They're not blowing guys off. They're not changing the line of scrimmage and getting guys 5 yards off the line and letting these backs go and make cuts and make plays. So it's all of those things. I wish it was just one and they could work and go fix it. Unfortunately, the strength thing is going to take time.
I'm going to let Sterling finish here. I'm going to go to you two very quickly down there. I was talking to a former Vol who the last 2 weeks said the same thing to me. He said, you got nobody that's mean on that O-line. You don't have any aggressive guys. And you want guys who are great on field or mean on field and nice off field. I've heard Pat Ryan say many times that the problem with Bill Battle is he had too many milk drinkers on the team. This offensive line, we heard it all summer. You're getting great pass blocking out of Drew Richmond. He looked good pass blocking. Run blocking, we're still working on him a little bit. I think that was code saying he's not aggressive and mean enough. If you're going to run block, you got to have some edge to you. Do you think they've got that edge at all?
No, and I think from that perspective, excuse me, I think they may miss Kyler Kerbyson because I think he did have some of that edge, and I think he was the leader of that group. And I'm not seeing that out of this. And the thing I don't know, and people, y'all could answer this better, do you lose that much strength from one year to the next if you have the base? Maybe you do. But I'm seeing mistakes being made physically, and I'm seeing mistakes being made by not picking up the right guys. And that bothers me as much as anything. And I've also seen a number of whiffs.
Yeah.
That's a bad combination.
The third touchdown pass from Dobbs last night, Ja'Shawn Robertson, one of your best linemen, one of your most experienced linemen, looked like he'd never seen a twist before. Guy breaks right through. Dobbs escapes to his left, hits Kamara, touchdown. But that was not strength. That was just whiffing. Chuck, very quickly, give me 15 seconds, your thoughts on the offensive line.
I think it starts with the center position, and it goes out from there. I think that's where the big fall-off has been, and what is going on when you can't get your hands on the defensive player. That is where, the footwork and getting your hands on somebody just isn't there.
All right, let me show you the changes made yesterday. We can go ahead and take that graphic out, Chris, make it a little easier for the folks to read. There were your 3 different lines. You started with Richmond, Robertson, Thomas, Wiseman, Kendrick. You had the moves to where you put Jack Jones in, took Thomas out, slid Wiseman in. Then later in the game, you moved Kendrick to the other side of the line, put Thomas in at right tackle. Wiseman stayed at center, Jones at guard, Richmond on the bench. Any of those fixes, or just do some of those improve in your mind, David?
Well, I really thought the move from Wiseman from right guard to center was a good move. I thought he played well. I thought he played better than Thomas did at center. I thought Jack Jones coming in at right guard, I think he played well at times. He played inconsistent at times. So I don't necessarily know he was better than Wiseman at right guard, but I certainly think if I was over there, I'm keeping Wiseman at center at this point. I just thought he held up better.
I would hang on to Jones too, and pray that Hall heals up quickly and he's as good as, and he can make a difference that we think he could. Sterling, I'll let you finish here very quickly. I know you had a point to make about the offensive line.
Hey, I'm going to put some awesome sauce on all this stuff right here. I mean, I'm just going to do it. I mean, we got guys that are getting some playing time. That's needed. We need help on offensive line. That's needed. But what I think can help is get our guys to stop thinking as much. Just block big on big. How do we do that? Let's get a fullback package. Perhaps.
That sure worked for Virginia Tech in the first quarter.
That's an option.
Or an H-back.
That is a big change. If your offense is A and you're saying we're throwing the whole offense out and going to something different.
That's not what I'm saying,
You've practiced
John
all
P.
summer.
John P., I'm not saying that. I'm saying let's get a fullback package, get our guys thinking a lot less, so we maybe eliminate some of those whiffs and get our guys engaged immediately, and the fullback can have their back if somebody leaks through.
Speaking of awesome sauce, don't forget your Calhoun's. All right, anyway, that was a cheap plug. What are you going to do? I'm charging them extra for that. Bart, get your checkbook. All right, when we come back, we are going to talk more about, the offensive line. Is it fair to say now, year 4, that's Butch Jones' Achilles heel, the offensive line? Is that what cannot be fixed? Come on back.